Hold on, guys. Just trying to get everything sorted. Give me a sec. Justin, you're on your own. If so, I can join you if you'd like. Hold on. Just give me a sec, man. Just give me a sec. I'm just trying to get everything sorted because I thought there wasn't supposed to be a race today, and then they told me last second. Someone responded earlier saying, "Oh yeah, so there isn't a race today." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then they tell me that there's a race like about 5 minutes ago. So I'm just trying to get all of my notes sorted, so just give me a quick second, guys, just so I can get myself calibrated on everything. So let's see. Alright, I think we're all good. I think we're all set. Let me just get this last bit up. Just hold on. Almost there, almost there. And alright, let's kick things off. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SRM ESPORTS as we are here for Season 4, Round 15. I believe it's Round 15. If it's not, then I'll have to change it. I was told it was Round 15, so that's what the title is going to be for the time being. If it isn't, then I'll change it after. But we are here for Season 4, the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'm your commentator, JusGamin or Justin, and it's been a while since I've been on. I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while since I've been back. Had my 2-week break, and we're back at it. So, of course, I missed quite a bit of SRM Esports, so I'm just trying to get myself back up and running as is coming down to the near end of the season, actually, ladies and gentlemen, and it's actually gonna be upsetting for me because I actually I need to speak with the admins to see if I'm gonna be here next season for Season 5, but we'll keep you guys updated on all of that. I'm seeing in the chat, so Charlie saying hello, how you doing, my man? Marky as well in the chat, welcome, my man. We also have Alicia, who has been honestly very helpful for me in those weeks that I was off. A lot of personal stuff happened in the background, and honestly, Alicia, thank you so much again for checking in on me. Really do appreciate that. But as we're here for the Hungarian Grand Prix here, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at, trying to get it, we are here at Budapest, I believe, right? Are we at, Budapest? No, Budapest is Austria, sorry. So we're here at the Hungaroring, here for the Formula 1 Aramco Magyar Nagydíj 2022 here for SRM Esports. Oh, no, we are here at Budapest. Yeah, we are here at Budapest. And just a brief description, guys. So this track, 14 corners make up the Hungarian Grand Prix with one DRS zone coming around the final corner of turn 14 all the way down towards turn 1, and then a continuation of that DRS down towards turn 2. The speed trap being just before the pit, actually right around the pit exit, actually, ladies and gentlemen, is the speed trap there. So we're going to be clocking in those times as we are here for qualifying, as always, ladies and gentlemen. So far, Richard actually tops the timing charts with a 1:15.968 for his Mercedes team, as they've been actually doing pretty well so far in this season. I can actually give you guys a quick rundown of the championship standings. So So far, leading the way still is going to be Michael F1 in the Ferrari with 230 points. RSI Marquis in second with 206 points. Then we have Dungries in third with 184 points. Then we have F1 Farth in fourth with 148. Grimmy in fifth with 145. Then we have Dopey Lemons in sixth with 129. Richard in eighth with 96. Steve with 86 in 8th. Then we have Angry Dutch Guy in 9th with 84 points, and then Mogi rounding up the top 10, as well as Andy Smokes Mid tied in 10th place with 63 points to their name. And I'm actually looking in the chat now. Yep, best of luck to all the drivers on the track, says Alicia. Let's see if these drivers can do very well. Very difficult track to get right. We're actually going to go on board with Hazza as we get a brief description of the track. So you make your way around turn 1 at that hairpin, as he actually has a Haas right behind him going through. I believe that is Louis. Nope, that's actually James, actually, my normal co-coms. Making his way down. Of course, now they just passed turn 3 to now up this left-hander as you enter sector 2 into turn 4. Then you have this long right-hander here of turn 5. Avoid the curb at all costs. Very difficult to avoid it, especially after you're just focusing on that curb to make your way around. As you make your way through turn 6 and 7 through that chicane, and now a little bit of an easier chicane to go through 8 and 9. As you now make your way down towards turn 10, this little bit of a S, turns 10 and 11, as you make your way into sector 3. Yellow flags up ahead for James as he makes his way up towards turn 12. 2 more corners left in sector 3 as he comes around the penultimate corner and sees the Alpine going into the pit lane. And then making his way around the final corner, James is going to set a time of a 117.526. So let's see how he does this tonight. Richard in the chat saying going to be an unfair race for the no TC lads in the wet tonight. So weather spoiler right there for Richard. But we actually had a change in the leader of the of qualifying here. It's going to be RSI Markey, just Nick's pole position from Richard by going a 10th faster with a 115.8. So let's see if that time will last until the end, as we still have around 9.5 minutes left of qualifying. So ladies and gentlemen, just a little bit about the Hungarian Grand Prix. Actually, there is speculation about the Hungarian Grand Prix as they are currently doing a negotiation with the F1, with the people representing F1, as so far they have an agreement until 2032 to have the track on the calendar, and also they can confirm that they are trying to extend it by another 5 or 10 years. They currently have the option to continue until 2037, and they would like to continue hosting races at least until that year of 2037. So we're going to be seeing this Hungarian Grand Prix be with us for the longest time as well. But still quite a bit of drivers out here on the track as they make their way through. Charlie just says in the chat, 10 pounds that James bottled it. Don't disrespect my man like that. Kiddo actually had himself a little bit of a spin coming off of the exit of turn 8. Probably just collected a little bit too much of that curb and getting a little bit of oversteer. And that's the one thing about this track that makes it difficult, as we now go on board with Steve, who has completely lost it around the final corner, going completely through the curves there to enter the pit lane, cutting through that line just to ensure that he doesn't involve anyone in that spin. So he's going to be taking another pit stop here, and we'll be going on another set of tires. We still have both of the Ferraris trying to get themselves better times out on the field. Michael F1 as well as Grimmy trying to improve. James in the chat saying cheeky mother, as Alicia says, nah, James is turning into a dark horse. Well, let's see if the dark horse of James, quote unquote, can make his way through. He needs to improve by around a second and a half to give the top runners a little bit of a challenge with the qualifying session. And now Michael F1 going to be going for another lap. Grimmy actually did finish his lap with a 1:16.943, just going ahead of Andy Smoke's bid by around 5 thousandths of a second. So we could potentially see them two have themselves a few good battles on the field. We also have F1 Farth, who is currently in the pit lane, still yet to make his way out and start to put in a time. So let's see how they do as they make their way out in the next coming of minutes. We're going to go on board with Richard, who has actually gotten a little bit of a mess up lap here, so he's going to let the Ferrari through. We just saw an Angry Dutch guy actually make his way up to P5 with a 1:16.326 for the Red Bull driver. So did an exceptional job so far, but still plenty of time to find at this track. So let's see how the rest of these drivers do. We're going to go on board with Tomo, who is actually improving by around a tenth coming into Sector 3. Only has one more corner left to see if that improved time will come until the end. He has one last sprint, and he invalidates it around the final corner as he was improving by a tenth. And that really made a hash out of it. But we just saw Michael make his way up to provisional pole with a 1:15.36, and did an exceptional job there, as he now has his teammate of Grimmy catching up and going to be congratulating him a little bit on that lap there. Let's see now, as we actually now have the only driver still yet to put in the time. F1 Farth is now out on the track. He's going to be looking to improve, to set the standard, as he's one of the big names here at SRM Esports as well, ladies and gentlemen. As he makes his way around, gets yourself a little bit of what these drivers are kind of going through, the amount of G-forces that these drivers will experience while being in the cockpit of the Formula 1 cars. Really got to put a lot of their strength in. As you can see, F1 Far taking too much of that curb on around turn 6, and really put a little bit too much pressure on the car. Going to have to ease it off a little bit and carry momentum into all of these corners, as he's now entering Sector 3 and going to be starting a new fast lap here. Is Far doing a Michael and going out last minute, pretty much actually, as Richard actually takes pole position with a 1:15.575, just taking it away from Michael F1. We have Cameron Barber in the chat as well. How are you doing? Good to have you in here. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've gone live for SRM Esports. Marky in the chat, paying respects to Michael, to say a nice lap to Michael, but Richard just beats it by just under a tenth of a second as well. So let's see how these drivers are going to match up to that. We're actually going to stay on board with F1 Farth for this lap, as he's still yet to put in the time. A big name here in SRM. So let's see what time this Aston Martin driver can set. He does set a purple Sector 1, so he's so far doing an exceptional job. Only got 2 sectors left to go as he makes his way towards turn 6 and 7. These tight chicanes, remember he saw on his outlap, took too much of the curb, is able to learn from his mistakes on this attempt. As he now makes his way towards turn 9 and 10, he has invalidated in that second sector, and that has really messed up his chances. He's going to go out for another one, I do believe, maybe a back-to-back lap here for F1 Farth. Cameron saying wishing that he could race today. Honestly loves this track. Yeah, this track is actually a very, very good one, to be honest with you. At least you're saying hurry up and get to your TV, Cameron. But F1 Farth now going back into the pit lane after invalidating that, so he's going to go on another set of tires and going to give another good attempt on that. Kittle actually takes a super wide line around the penultimate corner, so let's see how Kittle can do it. If he can improve on his time as he sprints towards the timing line, he just barely misses out on improvement by 54 thousandths of a second, and he's going to go out there for another attempt. Stead actually makes his way up to that second row with a 1:15.882 for the Alpine driver. A very, very good time right there for him. And let's see if he can carry that momentum on until the end. We also have the Alpha Tari duo of Hazza as well as Andy Smokes Mid going around. Hazza improving by a 10th. Let's see if Hazza can improve it until the end. One more corner left to go as he comes around it and improves by around 3/10. That's going to push him up a position to 9th. And let's see if his teammate Andy Smokes Mid can improve on his time and make it a Alpha Tari top 10 potentially. But now back up the grid where we see Kiddo actually invalidate on his time. Stead looks like he's going to be saving a little bit of fuel here, and that's the thing as well when it comes to qualifying. You want to conserve as much life as you can, but also give it all that you got. It's kind of a mixed scenario here. Like, you want to go all out, but you don't want to mess up your tires too much to where you'll be starting on practically a set of dead tires. So as you can see now, Stead's going to be going for another lap. We actually have a few yellow flags here in Sector 2 and 3. Sector 2, both of the Ferraris actually trying to avoid and get out of the way. Grimmy unfortunately had his invalidation, so he's going to go back into the pit lane potentially on a new set of tires. But this is going to be these last drivers' opportunity to make their way through, as it's coming down to the dying moments of qualifying. And Angry Dutch Guy did not improve on his time, as he is actually invalidated around the final corner. He's going to be continuing on and going to be starting a new lap here. We're now going to go on board with the McLaren of New Dark Destroyer, as he's going to be improving. As New Dark Destroyer has himself a little bit of a spin coming around the penultimate corner as both of the Ferraris make their way through. Grimmy's going to go into the pit lane and will not continue on. Michael is out there on another lap. He's going to go for one. Let's see if Michael can improve on his time and make his way into pole position. Right ahead of him, he actually has Steve, who's currently down in 14th position with a 118.668. So he's looking to improve as he crosses the line to finish his outlap. But we're going to stay on board with Michael F1 as he is trying to go for it. He is going to have to pull something out of the hat. He is improving by a 10th now, and that is perfect. We actually saw in the background James actually crashes out at 117.526. So Charlie, you're actually right. He did bottle it. As you can see now, Michael is actually stuck right behind Richard as Mogi and RSI Markey improve on their times here. Michael got blocked by the Mercedes in his lap as he's going to continue going on. He's still improving by a 10th here. So this could be actually be a pole sitter here actually, as he now comes around the final few corners. Let's see if Michael F1 can find himself in pole position once again here tonight in SRM Esports as he sprints towards the timing line. It's not going to be it is going to be enough, just barely, as he tops the timing charts at 115.498. Last second ditch for the pole position. Amazing stuff right there. Let's see if Richard can try and improve on his time and steal it away. He can, but it's going to be F1 Farth actually, ladies and gentlemen, doing it in the dying moments of qualifying at 115.176 for the Aston Martin. An amazing drive there for F1 Farth as he's going to be starting in pole position. FRL Louis is going to improve on his time, not going to improve by position, but now Kiddo is going to be the last driver to cross the line as he is actually messed up on his lap. So that's going to be it for qualifying here, ladies and gentlemen. F1 Farth and Michael F1 starting on the front row as Markey and Mogi finish off on that second row with then Richard and Stead. So let's see how these drivers take it now as they make their way around the Hungary ring. And from what we've been told, a wet start as Michael has actually left the session. I think a disconnect there. So I want to get him back in as quick as possible. But starting the fourth row is going to be Kiddo and Angry Dutch Guy with Andy Smokesman and Grimmy rounding up the top 10. Then we have Hazza, Tomo, Wolsey, Highlander, Steve, Louie, and then New Dark Destroyer, who just isn't really feeling this track at all today. But that top four, close times here. Actually top five with Richard as well, being within 4/10. This is going to give us a quite an enjoyable start to the race. I'm gonna see if I can get Michael back in as quick as possible. It's probably a disconnection. He's had issues with his PS4. So I'm going to quickly invite him in, ladies and gentlemen, as we do have a wet race. So just bear with me real quick. Damn, it took a long while just to get this loaded in. And Michael F1 has actually just joined back, so we should be all set. Michael is actually back in, and we looks like it's going to be intermediate tires on this one here, ladies and gentlemen. Would you like me to commentate the race with you, Justin? It's up to you, Charlie, if you're down for it, my man. It's up to you, but if you guys are just queuing in, welcome to SRM ESPORTS, as we are here for Season 4, Round 15, at the Hungaroring here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'm your commentator, JusGamin, or Justin, whoever you guys prefer. I know, Charlie, I'm supposed to be a good supporter. Shaney Boy in the chat as well saying, yo, did you like me spinning around? It was actually very enjoyable, very unfortunate for you. Of course, you're trying to improve on that. I'm just waiting in the chat. Yeah, I might as well. Got nothing to do tonight. Let me quickly, what's your gamer tag again, Charlie? Yo, let's go, New Dark Destroyer. Yeah, I know you're New Dark Destroyer, buddy. I know it's you. But as we wait, of course, we're gonna give yourselves a little bit of a history check of the Hungarian Grand Prix. So just bear with me as I'm trying to get Charlie in here. And I do believe we have a formation lap. We're gonna have to wait and see. And if that's the case, I can quickly get Charlie in here. And we do have a formation lap. Okay, perfect. So let me try and get him in here. Hold on, Charlie. Alright, so as we wait for Charlie to come in, so ladies and gentlemen, a brief description of the Hungarian Grand Prix. So, the only Formula 1 race to be held behind the Iron Curtain, the Hungarian Grand Prix, has been staged at the Hungaroring circuit outside of Budapest every year since 1986, and was the culmination of Bernie Ecclestone's desire for the sport to venture beyond the Iron Curtain. After considering Moscow, the initial Hungarian plan was for a race to be held on the streets of the capital, Budapest. In the end, the communist authorities in Hungary decided to construct a purpose-built track 19 kilometers outside of the capital. The Hungaroring circuit was completed in just 8 months, and the first race drew an estimated 200,000 fans from all over the world. And we actually just received word that Charlie is in the chat now. So Charlie, how you doing?
I'm doing great tonight. How about you, Justin?
Good, mate. Good. Let me just do you have your voice allowed to be shared?
It should be.
Alright, so they should be hearing you back at home, if someone can confirm that in the chat, if you guys don't mind. But I need to invite you to the lobby, don't I? Okay, hold on. There you go, just in time for the race start. Alright, Alicia is in the chat, Shaney in the chat as well, saying that they can hear you, so it's confirmed. We are all set and ready to go. You just received the invite, hopefully. You might just miss out on the start, so James Gallery in the chat saying, I can hear a posh boy.
See that. Love you too, James.
Lovely to see that. Of course, a little bit of banter, but again, guys, we are about seconds away to the start of the Hungaroring circuit here at the Hungarian Grand Prix of SRM Esports. So now we are seconds off from starting. F1 Farth leading the way with Michael F1 in that front row. 5 red lights counting down now as they rev their engines. Grimmy with a huge drive-through penalty and is stuck behind the Red Bull of Angry Dutch Guy. A lot of the drivers trying to negotiate with the wet weather as Michael does not have a good start, but it's going to be Mogi who gets past pole position sitter of F1 Farth. RSI Markey also looking on the inside as well. A huge start here from Mogi. Started in that second row and made his way up to P1. An amazing start from him. F1 Farth actually moves down to P3 here. And we also see Stead and Richard going side to side a little bit. RSI Markey loses the position as we have FRL Louis with a spin on the track down in P17. So a good start for him. But 2 drivers that had an amazing start here is going to be Mogi, and as he actually gained around 3 positions, and another driver is actually going to be Haza, who has gained a lot of positions himself. The biggest loser when it comes to the start of positions is going to be Angry Dutch Guy, started in 8th and now down to 16th after it looks like a collision occurred on the track. But so far an amazing start as we now conclude lap 1 in a few seconds time, with Mogi leading the race as we now see Tomo Tip Top and Kittle going side to side around turn 12 up towards turn 13. We see Steve now with the dive bomb on the inside of Tomo, and he is going to move his way up to P10. All of these drivers giving themselves a good battle to get into the points. Tomo giving the same sort of treatment back on the inside, but Steve with the better traction around the outside is going to have a little bit of a faster exit as they still battle out side to side down towards turn 1. Looks like it's going to be Tomo who's going to hold on to it, and he is now going on the inside of Kittle. We're going 3 wide here in turn 1. Steve a little bit squeezed off on the exit as Kittle now loses 2 positions and now out of the points. Steve with a huge dive on Andy Smokes mid, and Angry Dutch Guy taking the early lead for mechanical failure for that man right there. Very, very unfortunate for him. We also see Haza battling up with Richard, and honestly, Charlie, it's been an amazing start, would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely been an amazing start, especially by Mogi. An absolute mad start from him, going from 4th on the grid to 1st. Very good start by him. But I think Kaidal might have damage as he actually went very wide out of turn 3 or 2, I believe. But he looks to have gained back all the time he lost. So hopefully no issues for him. But whilst that, James actually managed to get in front of him as well.
Mogi is just the legend in the wet weather from what it looks like. Now leading the way by over a second off of Marquis, F1 Farth, and Richard, who are the biggest hitters in SRM Esports as they top, actually, let's see, so F1 Farth is currently in 4th in the driver standings. Marquis is in 2nd, and Michael up at the top. So Mogi is actually currently in P10 with Andy Smokes mid. So this is actually an amazing start for the man as he finds himself ahead of the big hitters. And I think that's going to give himself a little bit more confidence later on in this race, as he knows that he has to pace even against the top people. And if he wins this race, you know he's never going to stop boasting about it.
Yeah, probably not, but as Tomo actually comes to pin, I wouldn't be surprised if he retires, but Mogi definitely seems to be quite the legend in the rain here, of course. But Michael F1 Farth, considering their championship rivals, they haven't had the best of starts. They've both lost 2 positions. Whilst Hazard looks to be gaining on them as well, so you might have Hazard come into play as well. Andy, though, he's quite far behind his teammate here, and he's going to have to defend off James as well here now.
Well, let's see if Andy Spokesman can battle against James. Of course, the used to be co-coms got a spot as a driver on the field and wanted to race. Understandably, it's more fun on the track than it is in the box, but we still have some fun in here as always. But you can actually see that Markey on this lap actually gained around 4/10 compared to Mogi, so I think Markey's getting himself a little bit more confidence. As you can see, the dry lines start to shape form along the track as Markey actually just misses out of that of that dry line, taking a little bit too much of the wet puddles over the field. And I think as time goes on, it's just going to get quicker and quicker and quicker as you see F1 Far taking the fastest lap, as we now see an incident near the back with Kittle, who has lost his is it Keitel?
I don't know. Keitel. I'm gonna say Keitel.
Well, we'll say that right now. We'll say that for now then.
New Dark as well. He spun.
Yeah, New Dark actually spun there during qualifying as well. So New Dark, little bit of a deja vu moment for him in this race as he spins around turn 13. But what would you say is what would you say is your opinion of the track? Is it do you like it? Do you hate it? Is it a little bit of a mixed bag?
I'd say it's a little bit of a mixed bag because sometimes it's quite the track with the track limits as well as the tire temperatures. But if it's raining, then I absolutely love this track. So at the moment, I'd be loving it out there, like Mogi would be probably. But he's lost a lot of time now, actually, to Marky and F1 Farth and Michael F1.
Well, he is actually going to have to defend now as he sees the Red Bull, the Aston Martin, and now the Ferrari start to creep in a little bit. We're actually still seeing a good battle here between Steve and James actually in P10, as Steve actually recently got the overtake on James as they now make their way towards turn 12. But you said that you actually prefer it in the wet weather, and that's actually surprising to me. A lot of people, actually me personally, I actually would rather have it as a dry race, to be honest with you. I think in the dries I can get a lot more time in, especially going side to side with people. I think dries will make it a lot easier. But of course, in the wet weather, everyone has their preference, and it looks like Mogi has his preference in the wet, just like you actually, Charlie, as he's still leading this race coming into lap 5.
Yeah, Mogi's also got a lot more ERS than Marky as well, as he's got like an extra 30% of them. So Mogi's using his ERS wisely, even though you don't lose a lot of ERS in the rain, of course, but you might as well save it just in case something happens. But Marky and Michael as well, actually, they might want to start maybe looking after their ERS, as they're both nearly below 60, whilst Marky's actually almost lost half of his.
Oh, but we just saw an overtake here. Now that is an overtake. Beautiful stuff there. Marky just taking too much at the curb around turn 6 and 7, and that just gave F1 Fart the opportunity to get that overtake, and now up to P2. He is now going to be using a little bit of that ERS. Both Mogi and F1 Fart a little bit in the same sort of situation here, as both of them are lower on the fuel, saved a lot of their ERS as they're able to gain it quite a bit, because into these corners you kind of go like around half throttle, so you're not really using as much ERS as you would be going on full throttle. So it's definitely going to help him when it comes to the ERS management in this race.
Yeah, definitely. As F1 Farth actually puts in fast left, so he might become the legend in the rain here now. But surprisingly, it's only the front two who might need to start conserving their fuels. I don't see any yellow light signals coming from any other driver, but F1 Farth, if he does catch up to Mogi, hopefully we can see a bit of a battle between them two. But I think James or Lou, or is Louis, who's actually spun in turn 12, yeah. Yeah, so unfortunate for him, he's lost the position of Tomo, so I don't think he has damage, so he can hopefully keep on going, as we thankfully had no safety cars, so I'm used to having a lot of safety cars whenever I'm commentating.
Oh, and Tomo, same corner once. Well, not the same corner as New Dark, but both of the McLarens just really struggling out here in Budapest, as he now finds himself back into the pit lane for yet another pit stop. But one thing about this track is that in Sector 1 and Sector 3, you can take those a little bit easier. The main spot that you actually gain a lot of time is Sector 2, as that actually accumulates more than half of the corners of this track. And especially with those chicanes like turn 6 and 7, the S's through 8 all the way down to 11, makes it very difficult for these drivers. But of course, all of them have done their homework and done themselves a little bit more practice just to ensure themselves a good result here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. As you can actually see, yeah, F1 Farth's definitely lapping quicker than Mogi, because he's going about, I'd say, nearly half a second quicker than him now. So he's definitely going to try and get a move on again front, because he definitely seems like he's getting a lot more quicker than Mogi. But other than that, not a lot of battles going on, as James actually lost quite a lot of time to Steve, so I think he messed up in the final corner there. as he actually lost about half a second there, unfortunately. But other than Mogi and F1 Fourth, I don't see any other closer battles. But there's also Michael and Stead. Stead's not that far behind Michael, actually.
No, he's actually trying to creep up with Michael up there in P4, and you got to say Stead currently in the mid pack of the standings, doing an exceptional job out there on the track. So, and as we do have a yellow flag, I'm actually seeing that, and that's going to be New Dark Destroyer around the chicanes as he now waits and rejoins really a lot safely to not ensure any sort of drivers get in the way. And I'm actually looking at it now. I can see why New Dark is actually struggling here tonight. He's actually, from what it looks like he's a D-pad driver.
Even if you're a D-pad driver, I wouldn't see that as any problems, because I'm a D-pad driver myself, actually.
But aren't you bad at this game? I'm joking.
Oh, shush.
Good banner, we're all good. But yeah, so far, who would you say has impressed you the most here in this race, as we now start lap 8?
I mean, since there's quite a lot of guys that I don't know in this league, of course there's a few people that I know, but I won't mention any names, but I'd say the drivers that really surprised me is F1 Fourth actually just lost the rear there in turn 1. I'd say Mogi and F1 Fourth are two drivers that surprised me, as they're actually they're trying to pull away from Marquis anyways. They don't seem to be pulling away or losing as much time to them, but to be fair, Marquis somehow not using his ERS, he's still managing to stay with them pretty well.
Well, he's doing an exceptional job currently in P3, trying to hold on to that podium position. And I'm looking at it, the clouds are starting to get a little bit brighter, so I think we could be seeing a mixed race here tonight. I'm not entirely too sure, as Michael has himself a little bit of a hiccup through that chicane. Going to be giving Stead the opportunity to close the gap by a few tenths here. But yeah, if it would be anyone for me that has impressed me, it's going to be Stead as well. Haven't really had the best few races in the last few months, and now seeing him up in P5 battling out against the top runners, as well as in these sort of conditions, he's going to be more than proud. He's doing an exceptional job.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I don't know Stead myself, but clearly you do, so you know the best of him. But Steve actually catching up to Andy here a lot, so there might be a battle for P8 here eventually. But Andy and Steve not really using their ERS. They're both on 100%, and so's James and that as well, to be honest. So they better start using their ERS eventually.
Well, let's see if they actually have a bigger plan here. Of course, there's going to be plenty of time for these drivers to use those set of their ERS, as we have the blue flags being waved for the McLaren of Tomo Tip Top, as both the McLarens just not having a good race whatsoever. But hopefully they can improve on it and take this race as a little bit of a test of their skills to see where they match themselves up against the big runners right ahead of them, actually. In the top 5. We also see Richard up there as well, but he's really losing a lot of pace here in the Mercedes. Not really doing any spectacular job in this race. Apart from what he did in qualifying, was an exceptional lap time in the dries. But I think that's what a lot of these drivers actually prefer, is in the dry setups instead of where we are here today in the wets, and that just shows by some of the drivers out there.
Louis Yu actually just spun into turn 1, but look out for F1 Fourth there actually, because he's right on the rear wing of Mogi here now, but Mogi got a much better exit than him here. So I'd imagine, Michael actually sets fast lap surprisingly, so that might come into play eventually, so Michael might start lapping quicker. But back to the battle at the front.
Well, one thing I am actually seeing, is that the rain is starting to ease off a little bit. It's going to give these drivers a little bit of better grip into these corners. But they have to be wary about those tires as well, as they actually might potentially overheat them. And in these sort of conditions, it's actually easy to cool down the tires. Instead of going on the racing line, just going to the wet line around in the puddles, and then that can easily cool down those tires, because I think that's the one thing about this track that a lot of people struggle with, like you said before, is tire management. Is really going to be difficult for these drivers, as in Sector 2, it just shows those tight chicanes, these fast sweeping S's through turn 8 to turn 11. You also have that tough left-hander of turn 4 that starts Sector 2. And it's going to be a tough for all of these drivers, but Mogi actually gaining quite a bit of gap now on F1 Farth, as he's able to get a purple Sector 2, so really did that sector perfectly there. And one person we're actually seeing lose a lot of pace is actually going to be Stead, as he is struggling to keep up with the pace as well here.
Yeah, Stead's definitely fallen off the pace in these last couple of laps, but F1 Farth actually did make a mistake in Sector 2, so that could also explain why Mogi actually did fall, but as I say that, he actually sets the fast lap, so I shall not say that no more, as he's actually clearly the one who's lapping quicker.
Well, it's actually a bit of the same with him and Michael F1, as Mogi takes the fastest lap by 1,000th of a second actually here, Charlie. So a lot of the drivers actually getting pretty close when it comes to this this race in these sort of conditions. And of course, as time goes on, their consistency is just going to build up and up and up, as we now have Wolsey and Grimmy having a huge crash around the final corner. As you can see, Wolsey into the wall. Grimmy has lost his right end plate, so not a good result here for the Ferrari driver of Grimmy. And with that safety car, that's actually going to help Mogi and F1 Farth, especially with their fuel management here, as they can go into the low fuel mixes and just go easier on the throttle.
Yeah, definitely. Considering there's a safety car now, I wonder if anyone will actually take the gamble to go on a slick tire, because of course, you did say that you did begin to see quite the dry line, the rain eased up a little bit, so wouldn't be surprised if we see some drivers coming for the hard or medium tires, because you never know, it could work, it couldn't work, but for like Efra, Louis, Tomo and that, they might as well take that gamble, because at the moment, they've not really got a lot to lose.
Not entirely at all, so let's see if these if they actually will go for it. And we also see the leaders of Mogi and F1 Farth going into the pit lane as well. Everyone is going into the pit lane. Ooh. And let's see what tires Louis is actually going to go on here. It's still seriously wet conditions, and he is going to bite. He is going on the set of mediums here. So this is going to be a huge strategy call for these drivers, as F1 Farth Markey as well on a new set of intermediates. Same goes with Mogi, Michael, as well as Stead. So FRL Louis is really going to be taking a huge gamble here, and from what it looks like, I think it's going to be the wrong choice. As you can see, he's really struggling to find the grip and put that foot on the throttle as he now makes his way around turn 2, and I think that's just going to give the drivers around a wake-up call saying, stay on those intermediates. It is not the right time to go on a set of slicks. As you can see, we're still on board with Louis, trying to get into those high corners, but he's really going slow here.
James is changing his front wing in the pit lane.
So it looks like he had a huge incident there during the safety car period. As I mean, you did call it earlier, saying that he was going to bottle it, and he did in qualifying. But James still in the top 10, still up for some points to his name. So hopefully he can bring it home until the end. Sorry. New Dark Destroyer, also known as Shaney Boy in the chat, saying this game is rough and no wonder why I'm in the background as a steward. Oh, come on, New Dark. It's just about practice. It's just about practice, mate. Just of course, a lot of people were caught off guard by this sort of by these what's called scenarios of a wet race. So you're not the only one. We see the big runner. Well, one of the big runners. One of the admins actually of SRM. Angry Dust Guy also struggling here. I believe he has been on a cold run of form as well. Wolsey as well actually crashing out, as I believe he's actually quite up there in the standings, I do believe. I could be wrong, and I most likely am. I usually
Lewis
am.
Back in the pit lane.
Oh no, yeah, Wolsey is currently in 16th with 38 points. But still, this is Stead's race to get as many points as he potentially can. Currently in 15th for the Alpine with 42 points, so this could be a huge turnaround for the Alpine team. I'm trying to find the constructors, and there's no constructors standings.
Oh,
so
no. Louis, you got very lucky there.
Oh, he's still struggling out there?
He came back in the pit lanes. Tomo's been disqualified because he actually I saw that he actually just completely sent it into turn 1 there, and he just went flying past the safety car. He almost crashed into it, to be honest. So I'm not surprised that the team
so he overtook the safety car illegally there.
He was behind the safety car, but Louis Yu was barely just in front, so he was able to make sure he was not a lap down. Because I was thinking he's going to be taking a huge risk here if he's going to pit now. Because he was right with that safety car at the last second, but he managed to make it through.
Well, good thing he avoided any sort of collision, but unfortunate that he's going to have to take a backseat as well. Both of the McLarens, we saw that they were struggling in the race, now completely out of the race, and it's just unfortunate to see there. One thing I am also looking at is in the penalty system. Actually, we actually have 2 drivers on penalties, with RSI Markey with 3 seconds and Steve also with 3 seconds. So this actually could be a very tough track to stay within the track limits for them. Everyone else looks like they've been doing a pretty nice and easy time to stay within those track limits. But of course, it's going to be difficult for all of them. Grimmy is actually in the Discord saying that saying apologies for the collision that actually put Woolsey into the wall, like his name suggests. Fun fact there. Just banter, of course. Just all respect, all respect. But yeah, it's gonna be very difficult for all of these drivers, man. It's gonna be very difficult as we now have one more lap of safety car as we're waiting on FRL Louis to catch up with the pack. But I do want to remind you guys, if you are just coming in, welcome to SRM ESPORTS as we're here for Season 4, Round 15 of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Commentators, myself, Justin, also known as JusGaminReal, whichever one you guys prefer. And we actually have a special guest here of Charlie, who has been in the chat numerous times. And I remember always asking to go into the comments box. Wasn't too sure if the admins would allow it, but I was like, hey, why not? To be honest with you, why not? It's going to be a long race.
Yep.
But guys, as we are here for the in Budapest, actually at the Hungaroring, a little bit of a fun fact for you guys actually about the Hungarian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton has actually won more Hungarian Grand Prix than any other driver, with his tally currently at 8 wins, and could have been 9 last season. If you guys do remember, it was Esteban Ocon, Sebastian Vettel. Was it Sebastian Vettel in the podium?
Yeah,
like
it was Sebastian Vettel on the podium, but then of course he got disqualified for fuel load issues.
Ah, right. So then Lewis Hamilton finished in 2nd, was it? Because of that?
Yeah, so it was Lewis second, then Carlos Sainz in 3rd.
Yeah, but Esteban Ocon actually getting his first ever win, I believe, here at at Hungary, and it was a very eventful evening, we'll say, as it was one of the most interesting starts to a race, where we saw Valtteri Bottas had a little bit of a braking issue, crashed right into the back of Lando Norris, and almost taken out both of the Red Bulls as well. So people saying that it was a team call to let Valtteri Bottas do that purposely, but of course that wasn't the case. Most likely pro Max fans there. But as the safety car now comes in, Mogi can go whenever he feels, and he's going on the throttle here as he comes around the final corner. It looks like Steve as well as Stead has actually had huge spins at the beginning. Stead has lost his front wing completely, and I was actually rooting for him. He was actually having a pretty good race at the beginning. Got unfortunate there. One person that was unfortunate is actually Richard, who has been caught with his pants down at the beginning of this race. Looks like he had to stay behind Stead a little bit as he was spinning around. Not too sure if they had a collision, but so far the front four only separated by around 1.5 seconds as they now carry their way around turn 2, now turn 3, and Smoggy with an amazing start, still leading the race coming into lap 15.
Yeah, definitely, and very unfortunate there for Stead. Of course, we didn't quite see what happened, unfortunately, but I imagine Steve doesn't have damage because, of course, he stayed out. But it's been unfortunate for Louis Yu because, of course, the safety car came in when he wasn't actually behind all the drivers yet. But now we have a four-way battle for the lead on our way here now, and I'm hoping he'll draw it because then we can see some DRS trains maybe and some more overtaking.
Well, we're gonna have to wait and see if the clouds part its ways, as Louis is just hit with a 3-second time penalty coming around turn 6 and 7, for multiple warnings of corner cuts from what it looks like. But yeah, we actually have two four-way battles on the field. So we have a four-way battle for the race lead with Mogi, F15, Markey, as well as Michael. But we also have one near the mid pack with Andy Smith. Oh, Grimmy is spun. Oh, Grimmy has spun and lost his left end plate. So, I mean, to be honest with you, it's a good place to spin because you have the pit entrance right there. It's better if you're gonna spin. It's better to do it right at the beginning of the pit lane instead of the beginning of the lap. But
well, instead of it being a four-way battle, it's now a three-way battle.
Oh, and Kittle goes into the wall right around turn 1, and that's gonna be another safety car here, and that is gonna be big news for FRL Louis as well as Stead, who has had their race start completely unfortunate for them. Kittle now completely out of the race with the safety car coming out. Very unfortunate to see that for Kittle. Now, 5 drivers are the tally who bite the dust here at Budapest, but they'll be perfectly fine because after this they can go into that to the historic water park that's actually nearby the circuit. As Michael actually gets himself a time penalty for corner cuts in safety car period. So that's very rare especially from a man like Michael F1. Very rare to happen like that.
Is it? I'm just joking.
Oh, come on now.
I've got to have some jokes as well.
Of course. And Alicia, of course, significant other of Michael as well. Screaming it out in pain in the chat saying no. But of course, still plenty of racing left. We're just coming to the brink of the halfway mark of the race, but as we have another safety car here.
Mogi has a penalty.
Yeah, Mogi has a penalty. Yeah, he just recently got it. So technically, in this race, F1 Farth is a drive-through. Is it actually?
Yeah, he was speeding. He was speeding under the safety car. Then I believe.
Oh wow!
That puts Farth into the provisional lead of the race then, and he can't serve that under a safety car either.
No, so he's gonna have to serve that as he's gonna have to follow the safety car right into the pit lane. So that is huge disappointment for him there. But it's gonna be tough. But I'm actually gonna give a little bit of trivia from you guys. I wanna see if you guys can get this. Who like I just told you that Lewis Hamilton has won the most Hungarian Grand Prix. Who do you think has actually won like the most Hungarian Grand Prix as a constructor?
I'd say Mercedes.
You're wrong.
Ferrari?
You wanna have okay. You wanna have another guess?
I'll say Ferrari.
You're wrong. 2 strikes. This is your last one.
There's no way it's McLaren. It's definitely not them.
So what's gonna be your guess?
Renault?
Strikeout. It is actually McLaren who has enjoyed most wins at the Hungarian Grand Prix than any other team with 11.
Who won in the McLaren there? I know Jensen did.
Yeah, Jensen won a few. Let's see.
Probably Lewis and Jensen.
Well, Lewis, Jensen,
Fernando?
I'm not too sure. Fernando, actually, fun fact for you, actually, as you say, Fernando Alonso. So, actually, there's a lot of drivers that actually has won their maiden win in Formula 1 at the Hungarian Grand Prix. And there is actually, Jensen Button, Damon Hill, Fernando Alonso, Heikki Kovalainen. Kovalainen? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think it's Kovalainen.
Kovalainen?
I think. I'm not sure. I probably wasn't old enough by then.
Well, neither am I, mate. And also, of course, in recent times, Esteban Ocon took their first F1 victories at the Hungarian Grand Prix. And talking about the Hungaroring as well, actually, it has seen F1 reach 2-century milestones, as Heikki Kovalainen became the 100th F1 driver to win a World Championship Grand Prix in 2008, while Max Verstappen became the 100th driver to start from pole at the Grand Prix in 2019.
What team did Kovalainen race for when he won?
I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest.
Do you at least know what year?
Well, it was in 2008 when he won.
Oh yeah, I definitely would have been old. I would have only been 1 year old then.
Gee, you're that young? Pulsa. You're still doing you're still doing GCSEs?
Oh yeah, I'm entering them.
Oh, you're right, because this is the first year of GCSEs for you.
Yeah, I've got them in a few weeks.
Oh, like your like what's it called, like your like end of year tests, like your end of year exams.
Tests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, also one more fun fact as we have the safety car coming in. While many drivers can boost a 100% finish rate at the Hungaroring, it's Ralf Schumacher's run which is the most impressive. He finished the race on all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix appearances as well. But now F1 Farth will be potentially leading this race as Mogi still decides to stay out. Coming around the final corner, F1 Farth is wanting to start this race off now. And Mogi with a little bit of a slippery exit as he goes completely into the wall. And he is now out of this race. Very unfortunate there for Mogi. Just waited too long. His tires a little bit too cold. We now see Michael and Marky going side to side into turn 1. So now it's the 3 protagonists of SRM Esports here tonight, battling out for the lead of this race. Michael F1 and Marky still going side to side, coming down towards turn 2. Now on this right-hander of turn 3. A little bit of contact actually between Michael and Marky. A good save, as you said, for Marky there. But he's going to have to slot right behind in third. We see all of the drivers make their way through. There's fast sweeping left-hander. And Grimmy looking on the inside here of James. A little bit of contact. And Grimmy goes into the grass. And now we have the complete opposites here of the Ferraris. There's a Ferrari currently in last. And there's a Ferrari currently in second. We also see Steve and Louis having themselves a good battle as they make their way around turn 8. But yeah, honestly, huge upset for Mogi.
Steve has damage. He's lost his right front end plate.
Oh, and look at Stead. He's pushing his way up. He's now going past James. He's going to try to hold on to that position on the inside. Now coming to around the outside towards turn 13, and he's able to brake a little bit later. Louis and Steve. Steve with the switchback on Louis. Ooh. Now that is beautiful there. And Stead, in practically one sector, has gained 3 positions from P10 up to P7, and that is very difficult to do even if there's a driver going into the pit lane. Now we're seeing both of the Haas's have themselves a good battle, and Grimmy's trying to stick his nose in as well on the inside. He's gonna bite at it, and Grimmy just couldn't get the momentum there. He's now looking on the inside for a second, but it's gonna have to slot right behind. Oh, it just had a heartburn. Back up the grid a little bit. We actually have Haza creeping up on the Mercedes driver of Richard, currently in P4. And you can actually see that I thought the rain was actually going to be easing off anytime soon, but it's actually not. It's still here with us, and it's still a hard hitter in this race.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard hitter. Can we take a pause to ignore the fact how Markey and F1 Farth managed to make it through Mogi? Because my goodness, my heart stopped at that moment, because I'm surprised F1 Farth was not hit, and neither was Markey.
Well, that's what makes them one of the best here in SRM Esports, having that that top player instinct, as well as having those reaction times, like those feral instincts kind of. But also just to have the goal to still go full throttle in these sort of conditions, and having Mogi save himself from going into the wall on the right, but then completely makes a hash of it on the rejoin. and completely almost gets T-boned by Michael and Markey. So, as you said, very, very commendable from those drivers. But that just comes down from seasons and seasons of practice here in SRM.
Yeah, definitely, of course. So I was going to say that Mogi done a Sebastian Vettel keeping out of the barriers out of the final corner there, but then sadly he crashed out, of course.
From the high hopes of Sebastian Vettel to the down lows of Mazepin.
Yeah, definitely, but not a lot of battles, I'd say, at the moment. Hopefully, I think Marky's beginning to catch up to Michael, actually. But he actually goes in very deep in the corner. But Michael gets very squirrely on the exit there. He manages to keep the car on the track, luckily.
Yeah, we're currently on the camera that we have right on the engine cover here of RSI Markey as he's making his way through. And you can actually see that Markey's really struggling to stay within the track limits, and Michael just ahead of him as well, as Andy Smokes Mid also is hit with a 3-second time penalty. Quite a few drivers actually on penalties as well as they make their way through, but the top 3 hasn't changed at all since the start of the, well, actually no, since the end of qualifying, as F1 Fard, Michael and Markey all started in their current positions. So just like how it started, is going to potentially end like that, but of course still plenty of racing left here in Budapest, so this race is going to continue on and we're going to be seeing a lot of mayhem potentially.
Yeah, and if there's one driver that's not going to be getting penalties, they're going to probably gain a lot of positions, like for example maybe James or Hazard, if they can get into the pack, and also Stead, because Stead's actually managed to make his way back up into P7. It could even become P6, he's right on the rear of Andy Smokes here. We'll actually keep an eye on that, 'cause he's right on the rear of his rear wing actually. But he's not close enough to the move.
Well, he's actually getting pretty close to that diffuser. He's practically smelling what he's had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at this point for Stead. And I believe it's just going to be, with that car, it's going to be just gasoline and oil and probably a little bit of sweat seeping through the chassis and potentially through the suit as well of Andy Smokes Mid. But Stead is still trying to get his comeback story, as he was in P5 actually, if you do remember. Got unfortunate with the first safety car restart, crashed into the wall, had to get a new front wing. He actually spun around with Steve, I do believe, and later on Steve unfortunately had himself an incident and had to go into the pit lane himself, as we do currently see him in P11, 16 seconds behind Louis as well.
Yeah, and I'm not going to ignore the fact that Steve, he's actually managed to gain a lot of time on Louis, but you never know, Louis could just be struggling on his tires, but Michael F1 actually puts in the fast up, but so did F1 Farth. We'll actually see the difference between those two there. Don't know how big the difference was. And Michael actually was about a tenth and a half quicker that lap than F1 Farth. So maybe the track is beginning to lighten up a bit.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see as time continues on. Of course, as these drivers continue on, is going to be increasing their chances of getting into the points lap after lap. But Stead now right behind Andy Smokes Mid, just like the previous lap, around a few tenths behind. And this is where we can actually really see the pace difference between these two drivers. Andy Smokes Mid getting a little bit quicker in Sector 3, at the end of Sector 2 as well. Stead actually going a lot quicker in Sector 1 to make up for that sort of gap. And you can see the gap continue to increase as they go around 6 tenths, maybe even 3 tenths now actually, or 4 tenths actually, as they make their way through turn 10 and now turn 11 entering Sector 3. So this is where Andy Smokes Mid is going to be holding on to that position, but anything can happen as well. And one thing that a lot of people tend to forget is that it's not about your qualifying pace or your one-lap pace. It's that consistency to continue on. And now with Haza having a time penalty, Stead could be looking at a potential 2-position overtake once the race ends, if it stays like this. But Stead, with a beautiful exit here, was able to carry a lot more momentum around that final corner, as he is now eyeing down the black, well actually the gray and white AlphaTauri into turn 1. He is right on that diffuser. A little bit of a wide corner there for Andy Smokes Mid. Stead is going to be looking on the inside. Is he going to bite? No, he's going to stay right behind as the lap continues. But you can see just that one mistake could put you in a seriously bad position here.
He might be able to get a chance there if we just had a bit of a better exit, but we don't want to leave James out of this, actually, to be honest, because to be honest, I think James might be catching up to them, but he almost actually spun there as I say that, so I might not want to talk about James at all now at this point.
Yeah, right as you talk about James, he has a little bit of a commentator's cursing moment.
Yeah. But yeah, James might be able to actually. Okay, I think I better stop talking about because he just keeps on making mistakes every time I talk about him. Now. James, don't worry, I'll try to talk about you.
But let's see. So we can actually see Grimmy right on the tail end of James here as they make their way around turn 11. Grimmy with a little bit of a faster line there is going to look on the inside. He's looking for the move, but couldn't find the door open as he slots right behind James coming around turn 12 and now turn 13. Can Stead actually finally make his way past as Michael F1 also gets the fastest lap? He's going to start to creep on to F1 Farth as those cars going to get a little bit lighter and going to be helping them out a little bit. Andy Smokes Mid actually had a little bit of a slower exit there, trying to break the slipstream. Stead still trying to close the gap, but still can't. Like you said, if there was DRS, it'll be a overtaking maestro for this man right now. But of course, Andy Smokes Mid, his game plan right now, keep Stead behind Hazza so Hazza can hold on to his position. But it's going to be tough for them. You can definitely say that.
Yeah, and if Andy is defending to keep Stead behind to make sure Hazard gets his position, he's definitely doing a good job at Stead. I think he's probably a lot more quicker than Andy in Sector 1, but Sector 2 and 3, I'd say he loses a lot of time to him, so clearly Stead not running a low downforce setup maybe, or it's just the dirty air playing a factor for him.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see. I think it could be a mixture of things as well. But now Stead, if it ends like this, will only be gaining one position. James and Grimmy still having themselves that good battle in P8 and 9. And you can actually see Grimmy's actually starting to lose a little bit of pace in that corner right there, as James just has a way better line to carry a lot more momentum. But as F1 Farth again takes the fastest lap, is going to be ensuring himself that lead against Michael F1. But it's going to be, honestly, as time goes on, I keep on saying it, now with under 10, like around 10 laps left to go, could be anyone's game at this point. But one person that is really taking evasive maneuvers is going to be Andy Smokes Mid, as he is weaving on the circuit, and usually that's a no-go. To be honest with you, that's a very bad move in the eyes of the public, weaving like that very aggressively as well.
Look at Stead though, I think he might have a chance if he can get a good enough exit here in the next corner maybe. He's going to go for it, but he's just way too far back. But Andy made a huge mistake there actually, almost losing the car. You don't want to get on the curb too much, of course, so you're going to end up in the barriers. But another driver to look out for, Marky, he's actually managing to catch up to Michael. But look at the ERS comparison between them two. Michael has double the amount.
Yep, so Michael is playing it a little bit more patient, as he knows at this point he probably thinks that his race against F1 Farth is practically over, as he has time penalties and F1 Farth doesn't, and his main person to look out for is going to be RSI Markey. And this is actually coming down as well with the standings, as RSI Markey is actually the closest driver to Michael F1 when it comes to the standings, as they are only separated by 24 points. So with Michael staying ahead of Markey, that is what he's going to be aiming on, and that's going to really help him stay ahead of the driver's standings. But of course, anything can happen at the end of this race.
Yeah, of course, anything can happen. We might even get a last lap stage cover. Look at Grimmy here actually, he's on the rear wing of James. He's going to try go for it into turn 1 here now actually, but I think he might have backed out of it, but no, he's still going to try and get the inside line. James gets a decent exit, but he did get a bit wobbly, but can Grimmy maybe try to get the move on the outside? No, he might try to go for the switchback, and it might work actually, because James was very late on the brakes clearly.
Oh, Stead and Andy Smokes Mid going side to side up towards turn 4. They make contact, and a very difficult corner to go side to side, but they somehow manage it as they make their way around turn 5 here. A little bit of contact still between the two drivers. Stead with a little bit of a slippery exit, now dives on the inside. Again, contact between the two drivers, and that's going to ensure Stead's position ups. Andy Smokes Mid try to follow the racing line there into that corner. Couldn't really squeeze into that corner side to side into a chicane like that. Very difficult to do. and instead just had to put the icing on the cake with that one and move up to P6. Now it's going to be eyeing down to get within 3 seconds of Haza, and let's see if Stead can actually make his way up to P5 potentially.
Oh, Louis, you spun.
Yeah, Louis just not having the race that he wants to remember, and this is going to be an easy one for him to forget on his own. But of course, his friends around him might actually remind him of this, as we now have Grimmy and James battling out around turn 14. Both of them with a slippery exit. So, and you gotta say, this is actually a pretty good the defense of the day, actually, you could probably say, for James, as him and Grimmy were going side to side in a lot of corners here, and James still leading the way, even without the time penalty advantage on Grimmy. So, James is gonna have high hopes at the end of this race.
Yeah, definitely, but he can still get a good position out of it, because at the moment he'd be finishing P7, but when Stead and Andy were actually battling it out for P6 in Sector 2, I think Andy, he actually cut one of the corners, so if, in my opinion, he would have had to give that back, to be honest, anyway, but Andy almost spun it there, actually, out of the chicane. But if I was Hazard, I'd start using your ERS, mate, because Stead's on 33%, you're on 100, and he's catching you at least a second a lap.
Yeah, and you can see that within the striking distance between them will be in the next coming of laps, and that is going to be a huge disappointment for Haza. And F1 Fart just continuously breaking his fastest lap after lap, just shows that in the wet weather he is practically the true dark horse of this race, as he is now leading by over 3 seconds off of Michael F1 and over 4 seconds off of Markey. But yeah, you can see now Stead is within 2 seconds off of Haza. We're starting to see James start to catch up with Andy Smokes Mid as well. So it really shows that Stead is actually a lot faster than both of the AlphaTauris in this race, and I think they need to start picking up the pace here potentially.
Yeah, you never know, they could start struggling for tire wear here, maybe. But Stead, he's going to have to stop using the DRS eventually, or else he's going to start deracing all over the straights, and he's going to start losing a lot of time. So Harry, if you're watching this, start using the ERS, or else you're going to, or because you can still get that position for P5, but you never know. Drivers might get their penalties removed, so that might not be a surprise there.
Well, only time will tell, and if the admins comply with the request, of course. But let's see how things will go on. But so far, I'm actually going to early announce the top contenders of driver of the day, and we do it a little bit differently here in SRM Esports. If a driver gets driver of the day, they also get an extra point for themselves in the driver standings and the constructor standings as well. And we're actually giving a little bit of the quote-unquote lowered position drivers a little bit of an opportunity to get themselves a little bit of extra points. And so far, I think it could go to no one else but Stead. Just doing an exceptional job to keep up with the big runners before the first safety car. Got unfortunate with the first safety car beginning, as he actually had a spin, crashed into the wall, and now was able to recover and catch up towards P6, especially after getting past the greatest one of the greatest defenders here in SRM Esports, Andy Smokes Mid. So I think that could be a very, very good shout for Stead here.
Yeah, definitely. At the moment, I would say driver of the day definitely to Stead, because he's definitely picked up the pace in this last half of the race, I'd say. But not only is it Hazard that's not using his ERS, Michael's not using his ERS either. They're both on 100%, and they'd ought to start using it if they want to get their positions, but of course Michael won't lose anything at the moment. But Harry, you definitely need to start using it, because you can still get that position. There's still a few laps in this race.
Well, let's see if it will pay off. Of course, plenty of time left in this race. The early announcement has just been made. Stead 6 is your driver of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Big congratulations to Stead, as he's just been having an exceptional race. Now going to be right on the tail end of Haza. And to be honest with you, even if he crashes in this race, he still deserves driver of the day. Just having such an amazing race and gaining a lot of points for his Alpine team. That's going to be crucial for their position in the Constructors' Championship. Steve is hit with another 3 seconds time penalty. But yeah, honestly, it's been an amazing race so far. Still a few laps left to go. Again, anything can happen. We're still looking at that close battle for P7 with Andy Smokes mid, James, as well as Grimmy currently in P9. James doesn't even need to get the position right now, but he knows that he's faster than Andy Smokes mid, and Andy Smokes mid is just holding off the two drivers. So in these final laps, I think they're going to be getting a little bit desperate to make themselves past.
Yeah, they definitely are going faster because James actually went even quicker in Sector 1. But as I say this, he always just makes mistakes whenever I talk about him. I don't understand why. Clearly, there's just a curse on James or something. But Marquis only a few tenths off Micware now. But if we actually do check the tire laps, they're all nearly going to finish over 20 lap old Inter. So maybe we could see some punctures on the last laps or something.
Well, we might actually, as these drivers are really struggling here. One driver that's actually struggling is going to be Steve, as he has spun around the exit of turn 5. Yep, turn 5, and you can see those tires are like boiling in the heat of those spins now. So he's going to have to be careful if he's going to try and reach until the end. But and you can see that he spins again. Just not a good day for Steve here in SRM. But we're also still seeing that three-way battle. I think James now, I think his what his game plan is not to spin. But oh no!
You've
I didn't do anything. I was just saying what his plan was. I didn't say that he was going to crash or he's doing an exceptional job.
You said not to spin. You said not to spin.
Well, as he was driving off.
That's what I was saying. 13. That's the number 13 for you, James. I don't understand why you thought it was a good idea to use that number.
Oh right, yep, he is unlucky number 13 on the Haas. Very unfortunate for the man, and oh man.
He can still score some points.
Oh, he could definitely score some points. But it's just a huge loss for him there. But still keeps his head up. He might, I mean, to be honest with you, even if he makes a pit stop, he'll be perfectly fine. And I think that'll be his game plan, actually. Go into the pit lane, get a new front wing, get a new set of tires, and probably go for fastest lap. Because with those new set of intermediates, he'll get the extra point in P9. And I think that'll be a good turnout for him, actually.
I mean, if he's going to be going for the fast lap, he's got to go nearly 2 seconds quicker than his normal PB. Because the current fast lapper actually is a 27.9 by F1 fourth,
but that's also on old tires.
Yeah, that is true.
So with new tires, he'll be getting he'll be getting a lot more pace. I'll keep an eye on it as we go on to the gap to the leader, and we can actually see Louis is actually about to be lapped by F1 Farth, which was one thing he was trying to avoid. Stead now really trying to get past Haza as they make their way around turn 3, and it's going to be the same old story, Alpine versus AlphaTauri, just like we saw a few laps earlier with Stead and Andy Smokes mid.
Yeah, definitely, and of course, Grimmy gets a penalty here actually, so that's going to drop him actually no position, so he should be fine actually, but that could have cost him a P7 finisher actually. But of course, in real life, Sebastian, Louis, you might want to get out of the way because he's in the way of F1 Farth here actually, but ghosting is on, so maybe that won't be an issue.
No, that's not an issue.
Of course, okay, but of course, in real life, Sebastian Vettel got disqualified. Do we need to check F1 Farth's car as well, maybe, or something?
There was actually one person that we actually had to check previously in the season, and that was actually Battle Z Mini. Turns out there was a issue where he actually switched from like 2 different sources of what?
Why Steve on softs?
Oh, Steve is going at it actually, ladies and gentlemen. He's gonna go for it. I mean, he has nothing else to lose.
Yeah. Just drift it, drift it. Oh no.
Right into the wall.
I didn't say that.
Oh, but I'll take the blame. I did. I told you right into the wall. Just drift it.
Yeah, it's definitely not been a good race for Steve.
No, it's not been a good race at all for him. It's gonna be one that he wants to forget very, very quickly.
James is actually about to begin his lap here, so let's see if he can get the fast lapper actually.
I'll leave that with you to focus on, as we still have the yellow flags because of Steve.
On again.
Oh, he actually is closing the he actually is going faster than F1 Farth currently, but let's see if he can make that last until the end, as we are on the penultimate lap of the race. And actually, as I say, the F1 Farth coming around the final corner now, so he is going to be starting the final lap here, as he's just been doing an exceptional job as of recent in SRM Esports, leading the way, getting pole position. Might I remind you, got unfortunate with Mogi getting the getting the perfect start, or else we could have been seeing F1 Farth getting the Grand Slam in Formula 1. If you guys don't know, Grand Slam in Formula 1, it's when you get the pole position, fastest lap, as well as leading every single lap until the end. But
Well,
he did two of the three criteria.
yeah, I think James, to be honest, he was 5/10 up in Sector 1. See how much he's up in Sector 2? Still only 5/10, so maybe James won't take the fast lap. But he's still got another attempt, of course, so he could go for another try since he's only just going to start his last lap as well. But Steve, he's decided to stay out with no front wing on the softs.
Interesting strategy there for Steve. I think he's just getting the extra lap into the tally. But yeah, James couldn't do it on this lap. He's gonna do another attempt. But we're gonna go on board with F1 Farth, who has done amazingly well here tonight. The wet driver maestro of F1 Farth is coming around the final corner, doing an exceptional job, as he's going to cross the line to take the checker flag and the win here at SRM Esports, celebrating with this team along the wall. Michael F1 crossing the line in second, RSI Marquis third to cross the line. Then we have Louis finishing in the points of 10th place, so doing an exceptional job there. Now we have Richard crossing the line. His teammate Steve just did not have a good race, man. Very unfortunate for Steve, but Richard crossing the line in fourth to get him some sort of points. Stead is moved up to 5th place after Haza serves his time penalty. And ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Stead 6 is today's driver of the day for SRM Esports. An amazing race for him here, as he was able to get a huge recovery drive, was in 5th place at the beginning of the race, battling it out with that top 4 currently, and then on the safety car restart, got unfortunate with the spin and no front wing, crashes into the wall, but instead of moping and keeping his head down, he picked himself back up and moved back to where he was in 5th place. And crucial points for the Alpine, as we see James cross the line with a beautiful 9th place. He's going to be happy with that. And then Steve with a bit of a different race strategy for him. Completely the worst scenario that he could be in, a wet race with slick tires and no front wing. But he's going to cross the line in style with a little bit of a slippery exit. But ladies and gentlemen, F1 Farth, Michael F1, as well as RSI Marquis, is going to finish off on the podium. Michael F1 with that 2nd place pushes even further for his lead of the Drivers' Championship. Let's see if he can retain it until the end. Great results from F1 Farth, as he gets fastest lap and the 1st place. It's going to be maximum points here for F1 Farth, as he takes that top step of the podium. Amazing stuff all over the field, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, Charlie, thank you so much for coming in right at the beginning of the race, actually, so coming in just in time as well. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be here I believe next week for round 16. If not, it will be round 15 if I got the round wrong here today. But if you guys have enjoyed, please hit that like button. If you do see yourself coming back from time to time, hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. I've been Justin, he's been Charlie, and we'll see you next time. Lots of love and stay safe.